Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Welcome to this special episode where we will be discussing a little bit about the work of the Lady Fatemah Charitable Trust, a bit about what the Quran says about charity, and some of the lessons we can take from this wonderful book moving forward even after Ramadan. Today, we are very, very blessed to be joined by the wonderful Sayyid Jalaal Masoomi. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you keeping?
Alhamdulillah, thank you
very good to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
To start with then, we're approaching the month of mercy, the month of fasting, the month of Quran, the month which is really celebrated by billions of Muslims around the globe. What is your particular favorite aspect of this month?
You know, each minute of the holy month of Ramadan is special because each second of the holy month of Ramadan we can compare like months or days of the other months. But for me especially, I personally, you might maybe consider that the breaking fast is the favorite of each person, but because at that time you are just breaking your fast, you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you that opportunity. But especially for me, I like the suhoor, the early morning, because at that time you can worship, you can recite Quran with tranquility. And as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Dhariyat, verse number 18 says, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبالأسحار يستغفرون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, of course, the qualities of mu'mineen. One of the qualities is that at that specific time, at the time of suhoor, early morning, they are asking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as well, we have verses as well about the recitation of the Holy Quran at that time. إِنَّ قُرْآنَ الْفَجْرِ كَانَ مَشْهُودًا. At that time, especially, this Quran means Quran itself, and as well this Quran means closeness to the Fajr. That time is actually observed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by angels. So that time is specifically important, and I like that time more than any other times in the holy month of Ramadan.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Because at that time, it's almost the quietest period of the day. It's when you have the least distractions around you, because during the day you might have work,
Definitely.
You have school, you have things you need to do, but that period of suhoor is the time when you can fully concentrate on the book.
Definitely, you can concentrate, you can just talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any disturbance.
Exactly. Unfortunately though, the Quran has become a book for the dead. It's something we only pull out when someone passes away, we recite Surah Yasin. What can we do this Ramadan in particular to convert that and turn it into a book for the living and something that helps us to thrive?
It's a very good point you mentioned. Unfortunately, in many communities, especially in our communities, we have to tell the truth that unfortunately recitation of the Holy Quran, either it is as a filler, just starting at the beginning of a program for 2 or 3 minutes. And unfortunately, even in that 2 or 3 minutes, many people they talk while the recitation of the reciter. And another thing, as you mentioned, Quran is just mainly for the majalis of tarhim, the majalis of actually mourning for the or funeral ceremonies for the actually dead people, unfortunately. But Quran is for ahya, Quran is for the being people like you and me. So if I'm not with Quran in this world, so Quran won't be with me in the grave and in the hereafter, because we have rawayat from Imna. If you are with Quran in here, in this world, Quran will be like a shiny person with you in the grave. Unfortunately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this, that the Holy Prophet complains from his tribe. Who is the tribe of the Holy Prophet? When Prophet says, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقال الرسول يا رب إن قوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. The Holy Prophet complains, "O Lord, Ya Rab, inna qawmi," definitely my tribe, have forgotten the Holy Quran. And that is the reality, what we can do. I had a program, and I mentioned this many times, that normally daily basis or weekly basis we have majalis in our community. I did ask, we have many masjids, mosques, we have many Husayniyya, we have many Zainabiyya, we have many Imam Barkas. Do we have any Dar al-Quran in our community? We don't have, unfortunately. If there is, just for maybe once a week. That's our plan in our Dar al-Quran al-Furqan, to have this facility every day in a week. So the students, they can come and they can learn at least 2 hours every day. So we have to entighten our relations with the Holy Quran. That is our identity. We claim that we are followers of Ahlulbayt and followers of the Holy Quran. We have to comply the hadith of our great Prophet. He says, "Inni tarikum fikum al-thaqalayn, kitab Allahi wa itrati." So these two are together. We cannot just fly with one wing.
Yes.
We have 2 wings. We should fly with both. We cannot say that, I have witnessed, we come to majalis of Quran, maybe we see 10 or 15 or 20 people. When it comes to Muharram, when it comes to majalis of Ahlulbayt, with respect to, of course, I am maddah, I am reciter of Ahlulbayt. But you see, mashallah, hundreds, 200s, 1,000 people, they are coming.
Yes.
And the respect towards the Quran should be, inshallah, more in our community. But we can have plans for this. Weekly basis, majalis, mahafil of Quran, as the Egyptian culture they are doing, as the other countries they are doing. Like, for example, nights of Quran, we have to do it. We cannot just rely Quran in the holy month of Ramadan. I have witnessed people, they are just opening their Quran and during the holy month of Ramadan. After Ramadan, goodbye Quran.
Yes.
This should be changed, and this requires plan. And here is a platform I ask our dear viewers to just think about this. Everything we have, any references we give from Quran.
It's a beautiful point you made about the 2 wings. If you don't have one wing, then the bird will lose balance and potentially crash as well. And both are equally as important as another. So it's brilliant that we place emphasis on one, but we really need to raise the standard of the other, don't we?
Definitely,
Well.
definitely.
So one of the ways that we as living people can benefit from the Quran is by giving charity, by giving to those who are less fortunate. What does the Quran say in general about this principle of charity and the purpose of it?
You know, in the Holy Quran, there are many verses. Whenever we have any verses about salah, worship, prayers, definitely after that we have either zakat or infaq, which is the terminologies, of course, in the Arabic language. There are different terminologies if we come to the sadaqah, zakat, and as well infaq. Infaq covers everything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in many verses the importance of infaq, charity. Of course, in Surah Ali Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in verse number 92, He says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Lan tanalul birra hatta tunfiqu mimma تحبون وما تنفقوا من شيء فإن الله به عليم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many verses, as I mentioned, so there are many verses, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ, and as well, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. So anything, first of all, anything we give, it's not ours.
Right.
Because the real owner is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gave us this facility, this opportunity to hold something. Or for example, if someone says, I'm creating something, no, we cannot create anything, because the real creator is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are just assembling.
Yes.
Even our children, they are not us, they are not actually part of us. It is actually a gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifully says, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. So the charity, normally, maybe you have witnessed, you have seen the people when they give charity, for example, pences or £1. That's okay. Anything you have, give. Don't worry. But مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. Give charity from the thing you like it. As Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, he gave charity in the day of Ashura. What was the charity? He actually gave his heart, which was Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam, his children, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if we want to get to the goodness, if we want to really reach to that level as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for that, for the ikmal, so we have to give charity from what we like. We really adore those things. So this is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala normally, the verses as well in Surah Al-Baqarah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions who are about the muttaqeen. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. So وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ. So anything which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to them, they give as a charity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a quality of muttaqi, of the pious people. So the verses about infaq mentions about the importance of this act, which this is a great opportunity. When I give charity, actually it's a great opportunity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to me to be at the service of the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what a best time than Ramadan. Because when in Ramadan we have this actually philosophy that when I recite one verse, it is as I completed the whole Quran. But what about if you actually give charity, £1, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you 2, 3, 4, 5, no. You know, those people, they know economics, they know business. So normally there are many banks here in UK and all over the world. So you put your money and they say, for example, we give you interest or actually definitely they call it interest, yes? So what a best interest that you know the person and he's very liable person, you rely on that, and he is not cheating you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, he says, the example of people they give charity, okay, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like a badr, they call it badr, or habba, it's like a seed. So you put one seed, but the response is not, for example, 2 seeds. It's not 3 seeds. It is 700 times in response. So when in the holy month of Ramadan, you recite one verse, it's like you have recited the whole Quran. But what the best time if you give charity in this holy month, you give £1, but in response Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you 700 times more than you gave. So 700 pounds you receive. That's the best business. So it's a best opportunity for us to take this opportunity in the holy month of Ramadan to give charity and to make the poor people, the needy people happy. Because they are the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Absolutely. And coming back onto that verse, مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ, hubb is a special kind of love, isn't it?
Definitely,
yes.
Definitely. It's a special, it is not just, you know, we have the terminology of hubb and mawadda in the Holy Quran. But this hubb is you like it, even sometimes you need it. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, sometimes you are needy, you need something, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourage you to give to the poor people. That is high level of charity. When you give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, although you need, you are yourself, you're needy, but still you give this charity for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the real hubb, the real love towards the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as well towards the thing you love it, the thing you like it, you give.
Wonderful. And talking about giving from what you really love, I think sometimes when it comes to charity, we often associate it with giving out handouts, just giving on a one-off basis and then moving on. And this is quite short term. What does the Quran specifically say about long-term giving? Because that's where the impact truly is. Not in the short-term giving, but the long-term giving.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions many times about long-term procedure. One of them is actually to teach. One of them is to build a mosque, build a hospital for the sake of specific people. So I can refer as well here for the works Lady Fatemah Trust they have done. So of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned many things about the actually long-term infaq. Of course not directly, but we consider that as a long-term charity. So one of them is actually to teach the way of earning, which alhamdulillah, one of the projects which I was in Tanzania and Zanzibar, I have witnessed that they have, for example, hospitals, but in Iraq and other places they had special actual factory to teach them how to actually earn, to work on the actually building or actually making a coat or winter coat. I have witnessed even in Afghanistan. These are the things which, alhamdulillah, your Lady Fatemah Trust, they have done. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions as well about building mosques, building, of course, hospitals, all this stuff, especially about mosque Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions. So I can maybe recite that part as well. But the thing is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us as the people, they can influence in the life of others, especially those they don't have the facility to learn. So teaching them is the best way. لا يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says those people they know and the people they don't know, they are not equal. So that is as well, we mentioned in English, the knowledge is power. So that is the way that we can build a actually mosque, hospital, school, so to teach the poor people, and they can later on become self-independent. They can earn for themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about building mosque, but of course we can consider this mosque as a school, because at that time it was like a school, but you can consider a place to actually extend this power, this knowledge. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة وآتى الزكاة ولم يخش إلا الله فعسى أولئك أن يكونوا من المهتدين صدق الله العلي العظيم. So based on this verse, mosque, hospital, school, they are sources for improving the lives of the poor people. I think one of the greatest projects which it took from economic to Mothernomics, if I'm not mistaken the pronunciation. So you have done a great job, which is you guys you have in Yemen, Iraq, and Afghanistan,
Correct.
if I'm not mistaken. So you gave this opportunity to the women especially to be independent.
Yes.
They can work and they can produce garments, so they can sell them, so they have salary. I think that is a great opportunity, even for those women, especially in those countries, because they affected like a mental health. So that is a great opportunity for them to actually to believe that they can do something. They can be self-independent, they can earn money, and that will be a role model for their children.
Absolutely.
So their children, they can copy them. Oh, my mom can work. My mom is I have witnessed a video of the Mothernomics, and I have seen a lady in Afghanistan. She was director of that factory. So it's a great opportunity that I, as an Afghan, I see in my country that Lady Fatemah Trust, with a great name of Lady Fatemah, they are working and they have Mothernomics in Afghanistan. I have seen that a factory is active and they are working, they are earning money, they are producing garments for the especially beautiful winter coats I have seen made by them. Everything they are doing, it's not just actually importing from China. I thought maybe they're importing.
It looks better than the quality we see here as well, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
And you mentioned that it gives them that hope and it gives them that aspiration. Because a lot of charity we focus on giving them money and resource, but there is often a poverty of hope there, and this fills that void, doesn't it?
Always they say that if you give fish to a person, so you
Yes.
give it for 1 day or 2 days, but teach him how to fish,
Yes.
how to actually do the fishing.
Exactly.
If I'm not mistaking this part. So they know the art of actually fishing, how to go and become as a fisherman. So if I give him every day 1 fish, so it's just for his sake and his family. But he knows, and he goes to different seas and different river, and he actually gets for himself millions of fish.
So Sayyid Jalal has said it, Mothernomics. If you want to find out more, please visit the website as well. Follow us on Instagram. You'll see all of the wonderful stuff that we do, especially one of our flagmark projects, Mothernomics. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
So the Lady Fatemah Trust has many projects, but can you think of any verses of the Quran that maybe reflect our mission and our values?
You have done a great job. So there are many verses of the Holy Quran which might be about you and the way you're doing. But when we come to a proper surah, which is Surah Al-Insan, which mentions, if we want to really understand the real meaning of human being, insan, we refer there and we find those verses revealed about Ahlulbayt. Especially Lady Fatemah Zahra, which is the name of your charity. And as well, Imam Ali alayhi salam, and Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, and Zainabain, Lady Zainab salamullah alayha, and Kulthum salamullah alayha. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, of course, many of our dear viewers, you know the story behind that, the sha'nun nuzul of this verse. Why this verse revealed? It was about the sadness happened. Of course, it was a type of flu happened for Imam Hussein and Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam, alayhi musalam. So, and the Holy Prophet asked Lady Fatemah Zahra and Amir al-Mu'minin to fast 3 days. So every day at the time of breaking fast, because we are in the holy month of Ramadan, we see it, how hungry we are when we are going to break our fast, how thirsty we are. And exactly at that time, because it's a test for Amir al-Mu'minin and Lady Fatemah Zahra, the door knocks. The first day, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ miskin. A poor person came and knocked the door, so they have to give their food to them. The second day happened the same thing, yatim. And the third day, asir came. Of course, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after the third day, gave them a special food from paradise. So, Lady Fatemah Trust, they are doing great job because they are the real followers of Ahlulbayt, and we have witnessed their work. So these verses reflect their work. So I can recite this in Maqam al-Sika, inshaAllah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا صدق الله العلي العظيم. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly mentions about the second verse I recited, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. So Ahlulbayt gave their food for the three groups of people they came to them. So of course they are three persons. And alhamdulillah, we see this in Lady Fatemah Trust, that it's not just in one dimension or in one direction, it is multi-dimension. They have a project called As-Sadiqa, which is the name of Lady Fatemah Trust. That's a bakery in Yemen.
Yes.
So that's a great project. And then they have maternity hospital in Zanzibar, which I love that island. And then they have Mothernomics.
Mothernomics.
Yeah, Mothernomics. That is in Afghanistan.
And Iraq.
And Iraq, that's the water.
Yeah.
That's a very good combination. You have thought about this, because in Afghanistan the issue of mother is related to Mothernomics, and as well in Zanzibar, the maternity. Unfortunately, many mothers, they die while the birthing of their children. And as well, water in Karbala in Iraq, that is really related to this part. And that shows, mashallah, you're doing the same project as it was mentioned in the Holy Quran, done by the Ahlulbayt, and done now by the servants of Ahlulbayt, which they have established this charity, Lady Fatemah Trust.
Wonderful, and brilliant analysis of that verse also. Moving on, we mentioned some of the projects, but I'd love to talk about one or two in a bit more depth. So out of the ones we've talked about, is there one particular project that is close to your heart that the Lady Fatemah Trust does?
Of course, all of them, they are close to my heart, but as being Afghan, and as I'm thinking always about my country, Afghanistan, believe me, when I saw that video clip of the factory, that I have seen my sisters and brothers in Afghanistan, they're working, it was really unbelievable for me that I'm seeing my sisters and brothers, and especially the sisters, they are independent and they're working, and they're not begging now. They're not begging, they are working, they're earning money, they're actually giving service to the community. So they are producing a winter coat with high quality.
Exactly.
That was really close to me, to my heart, and that made me happy, and may Allah make you and your team happy, inshallah.
Inshallah. Ramadan is also a month where we get quite thirsty. Do you know anything about our water project in Iraq?
I have, when I was in Arba'een, I was with a great man. Mukhtar Karim is a great man, and he, of course.
Who is he? I don't know.
A great man. We have in Arabic terminology, we say هذا الشبل من ذاك الأسد. So, Shibal, this is the baby lion. It's from that lion. So we see, actually, from that great man, you, mashallah, you have done great job, mashallah, good program. And you're not just, like your project, you're not just in one direction, in one, actually, dimension. You are you are, mashallah, you are very familiar with Quran, and your family, they are lovers of the Holy Quran. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, mashallah, that project was beautiful, because Mukhtar Karim, when I was in Iraq, he said, I'll go and have a look at our project. But I think that the way you're doing is actually you're helping people, if I'm not mistaken, about 2 million cups a day you give water for the service of people.
So the water machine, or the water system, produces 2 million cups of water a day, has the potential, and also 10 million liters a year.
Oh my God.
And it's beautiful because Karbala is associated with water. Imam Hussein died thirsty on the battlefield, and so this is our way of feeding and giving water to his zawar, albeit 1,400 years later. But there's a beautiful message of water associated with Karbala. Now, unfortunately, every year during Arba'een, as you probably have seen, water is stored in plastic, and that plastic, when the sun hits the plastic, it causes carcinogens, these chemicals, to enter into the water, and it's not healthy. But also from a sustainability and climate perspective, throwing away the plastic every time is just building up and building up and building up, and it's not healthy for our planet. And of course, in the Quran, Allah mentions we are Khalifa, we are stewards of the earth as well.
Definitely.
And so this project, inshallah, by giving 2 million cups, will firstly eliminate the need for these water that is being hit by the sun and building up carcinogens. But inshallah, in time, people use their bottles and fill their water bottles up with the system, and that will reduce the overall plastic in the city as well. And it's a big project, and inshallah, with your du'as, it can go further as well.
Definitely, it is. Of course, there are many verses about the importance of water in the Holy Quran, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have made everything alive with the help of water. And the importance of water, all of us, we know it. The earth, around 70% of the earth is water.
Yes.
Around 70% of our body is actually consists of water. So that's very important. So there are many verses about importance of water. As we know that around 70% of our body consists of water, 70% of the earth is actually water, and that's very important. As you mentioned about your project, so the water should be fresh, and filtered. I think one of the part of your project is to filter the water of Najaf or Karbala.
Exactly.
And give the proper water
because
for
the
them.
water comes from a body which is very high in salt. So you filter the water and get rid of the salt, a project called desalination, and then you can give the fresh water using the water from the Bahrun Najaf.
MashaAllah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifully mentions in Surah Al-Baqarah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون صدق الله العلي العظيم Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, human beings, from two elements, water and soil. When you compose this water and soil, so we have clay, that's our material part. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about the importance of water. So He has actually descended water from where? From sky. From sama. So, but that water penetrates in the earth, and that's the reason we have thamarat. We have different flowers, different fruits, different actually elements in the world. So that's the reason water is very important. You consider whenever we actually name something about water or consider water in our mind, we remember Karbala. We remember Imam Hussein when he was thirsty, the Imam at that time. So that is the reason water plays a very important role, and Alhamdulillah, Lady Fatemah Trust, they have done a great project in Karbala. Inshallah, they will extend this project in other places as well, because in Afghanistan as well we have the issue of water. It's not just Karbala, it's not just Iraq.
Yes.
So we have, I'm sure definitely our sister and brothers in Yemen, in even in Tanzania, of course they have water plenty, but clear and clean water they need. But definitely you will extend this, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. And we do projects, many water wells actually around the globe, in Pakistan especially, in India. So we have water projects there too, but there's always room to grow, and with your du'as, inshallah, we can grow that too.
Definitely.
Something that goes with water is food. Naturally, when we have food, we then get thirsty and we want water. And this Ramadan, when we're going to be fasting, when we are fasting, we are going to get very hungry. Towards the end of the day, we're going to want to break out iftar, and we have the luxury here of having a wide spread, alhamdulillah. Out of interest, what is your favorite food when it comes to iftar?
Okay, in iftar, normally, I personally cannot eat too much, because normally after iftar I have to go and recite.
Yes.
So, but normally, my favorite food is qabli palau from Afghanistan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like it. It is our favorite food in the family as well. Even my sons, they like qabli palau, which is, but it is heavy. If I ate qabli palau, so the recitation might be a bit difficult for me. So that's my favorite food in the holy month of Ramadan. But normally I start with, of course with date. All of us we start, but we have soup. We start with soup, and then the main course would be qabli palau.
Can you make qabli palau?
I have learned a bit.
You've learned a bit.
I have learned a bit, but my wife, mashallah, she makes the best.
Wonderful. With the lamb shank as well?
Yeah.
Sorry if anyone is fasting, we're talking food, but Afghani food is wonderful. It's a beautiful cuisine as well.
But it's not like Zanzibari food or Tanzanian food.
I will have a bias. Zanzibari biryani is the best.
Yeah, Zanzibari biryani, and as well kukupaka, samaki paka.
My mum loves kukupaka with mandazi as well.
Mashallah,
just a beautiful combination. But every food, every culture, cuisine has its own beauty.
Yes, you're right, completely.
And we talked about kukupaka and biryani and qabli pilau, and all of these are wonderful dishes that we have, but there are some around the world who do not have that. And when they break their fast, they will not have very much to break it with. So please donate generously to the Lady Fatemah Trust's Ramadan Baskets Appeal and help feed those who are fasting around the globe to multiply our rewards and efforts in this month, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Linking it back to the Quran, what does the Quran say about the importance of feeding those who don't have the luxury of food?
Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about infaq, about giving towards the poor people. There are many verses. Of course, always says the thing you have and the thing we gave to you, give to the poor people. Because that is mimma tuhibbun, that's you, like I have mentioned this in the previous part, but of course there are many verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about giving as much as you can and giving what you love towards the actually helping the poor people. So I can maybe recite some verses about this and about the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to us. I mentioned this before, that it's a business. When you want to do business with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do business with a person who is giving you 700 times more than that you gave to him. And as well, the importance of infaq is, or sadaqah, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Munafiqun that a person who passes away, the only wish he has is to come back to give charity.
Wow.
So if I pass away, so if I have that chance to come back, I see my family, or I see, for example, my children. But for us, when we go there in Barzakh, and when we see the condition and the importance of giving charity, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send us back to the world so I can give charity. فَأَصَّدَّقْ. So I'm going to recite that verse of Surah Al-Kafirun, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about the importance of infaq. وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. And it's, of course, it's imperative verb. وَأَنْفِقُوا. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses imperative verb, it's for our own benefit. وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. And give from those things we have given you. When? مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. Before the angel of death comes and says, Jalal, let's go. I said, no, I have some money I have to give. There is no time.
Yes.
And what he says, فَيَقُولَ رَبِّي. And he says, oh Allah, لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي إِلَىٰ أَجَلٍ قَرِيبٍ. So give me a chance. Extend my ajal, my time a bit more. فَأَصَّدَّقْ. So I can give sadaqah. So what you're not giving now?
Exactly.
I cannot guarantee tomorrow. I cannot guarantee even 1 second after. وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. Because he knows that the group of the people they gave charity is very high level. So I want to go and be in that group. So Allah gave me a chance. So send me back to the world, to the earth, to dunya, so I can give charity. I don't want to see my family. I don't want to do anything. I just want to give charity. So that is the reason, if we give charity and we give from the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to us. So it's a great opportunity to do it as soon as possible. So we should be very fast in this. We shouldn't hesitate. We shouldn't let shaitan to whisper, say, Jalaal, what are you doing? You need this money. You have to send to your family. You have to do it for yourself. Buy a new car. No, don't listen to it. Do it straight away.
Yes, it reminds me actually of a concept I came across recently. A concept from Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Surah 57 if I'm not mistaken, where Allah is talking about the sabiqun as-sabiqun. He says that أولئك المقربون. He says that there are some people who when they ask me, they just ask and ask and ask. But the ultimate level of my believers, of those who worship me, are the ones who say thank you, who say thank you for what they have, even if they might not have that much. But I guess one of the ways that we can say thank you is by giving. Definitely. Because as you mentioned, what we have is not really ours, it is an extension of Allah.
Definitely.
And if we give, that is our way of saying thank you as well.
Definitely. But the verse I recited, yes. I recited in a specific maqam. Do you know what was that maqam? I know that you are, mashallah, very familiar with the maqamat, with yes. the recitation of the Holy Quran. And I might ask you, because of course you are the presenter of the program, but I might ask you, inshallah, at the end of program to recite some verses for our dear viewers, inshallah.
Sure. So the question was, which maqam did you recite in? I can do process of elimination. It wasn't Nahawand, it was not Bayati, it was not Sabah.
Very good.
It was not Nahawand, yes. It was not Siga, and it was not Hijaz. So that leaves me with, and it's not Kurd, so that leaves me with Ajam. So I'm going to go with Ajam.
Yeah, very good.
Yep.
Very
okay,
excellent,
perfect.
excellent.
By the way, what is your favorite maqam?
My favorite maqam, I like all of them.
Okay.
Of course, I recite based on the meaning.
Yes.
But my favorite maqam is maqam al-Sabah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Any reason? It's quite sorrow.
You know, Sabah relates, the meaning of Sabah is early morning.
Okay, sure.
You know, the first question of the program, you asked me about which specific time of
yes,
Ramadan you like.
Yeah.
I said Sahar.
Yeah.
Yani early morning. And this maqam, you know, each maqam has a specific time. It
Sure.
might be a bit actually difficult for the viewers, the time for a specific melodies, but yes, each maqam has a specific time, because Sabah in our language means early morning. Mm-hmm. Of course, we have as well the specific wind of Sabah, of early morning. So I like this maqam. Maybe one of the reason is because my great grandfather Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam, with riwayat, he was reciting this way. Right. I mean, with maqam al-Sabah, because the riwayat we have that when Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam, he used to recite, the actually tears were actually come out from his Mubarak eyes, and the whole lihya, the whole bird will be full of the tears. He was actually shedding tears because of the humbleness of that maqam. I like maqam al-Sabah because it reflects that sadness you have inside yourself, and it conveys that message you have inside yourself to the listeners. And even in Iraq, even the happy occasions, yeah. in happy songs or melodies or anything, is a maqam sabah.
Right, interesting. I mean, for the viewers who don't know, Sayyid Jalal has done many lectures on the theory behind the recitation of Quran as well. And I have found them truly inspirational, because as someone who doesn't fully understand the Quran end to end, sometimes the way that I can connect with the Quran is through your voice. And when you recite a certain verse, maybe it's a story, then you might recite with Nahawan, because that has the mysterious element to it. Or when you're reciting something quite emotional, you might recite Bayati, because it connects you. As you mentioned, it's the mother of all maqamat. When you're talking about sort of the qualities and characteristics of God, maybe maqam ras, because you have that order and that sense of God's command is there as well. Do you know what my favorite is?
I have to ask you, inshallah.
You have to
What's
ask
your
me.
favorite maqam?
My favorite.
But you have to recite with your favorite maqam as well, if you want.
At the end, inshallah, if you can teach me, it's maqam bayati, I think, because for me, it's the one that makes me the most emotional, and it's it's something that you mentioned this before. It's like when you are coming in the airport arrival lounge and you see someone that is very dear to you, maybe a relative, but you haven't seen them for 4 or 5 years, and you suddenly see them and you connect, and that's the feeling you get inside your heart.
Definitely.
So I'll extend the offer to you as well. The next verse or the next few verses, would you be able to recite the Maqam Bayati as well?
Why not Maqam Bayati, inshallah.
And that segues on to our next question brilliantly, because the Lady Fatemah Trust, as we've mentioned, one of the big projects is the mother. In Afghanistan, Yemen, Iraq, you've got Mothernomics. In Zanzibar, we are saving the life of mothers. Mothers are this key central pillar in our lives. The closest person that one may get with, the one who brought us up from birth. The role of the mother is one of the most important, if not the most important, in our lives. So what does the Quran say about the importance of mothers?
Oh my God,
maybe we can recite this with Maqam Bayati.
Yes, Bayati, definitely. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the importance of especially, of course, parents and especially mother, He mentions many verses. I like the verses of Surah Al-Isra about respecting parents, and inshallah we'll recite that in Maqam al-Bayati is your favorite maqam, inshallah. Mother is very important. You know, for us, father and mother, both of them, they are important. But normally, I don't know, I personally, normally if something happens to me, I call my mom. Even she passed away, but I call her. Mother and homeland, country, it's very similar together. You know, you have a specific attachment to your country. Either it's here, or either it is Tanzania, either it is Kenya, or either it is Afghanistan, anywhere. So you have connection, and you're proud of being from there. And mother as well. So we especially sons, they are very close to their mothers. Yes. And daughters, girls, they are very close to their fathers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created like this. Beautifully, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the respect of parents is after my worship. I'm going to recite those parts, inshallah, in Maqam al-Bayati, inshallah. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تعبدوا إلا إياه وبالوالدين إحسانا وقضى ربك ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه وبالوالدين إحسانا إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما فلا تقل لهما أف فلا تقل لهما أف ولا تنهرهما وقل لهما قولا كريما صدق الله العلي العظيم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the importance of respecting our parents. course, you mentioned about mother, and you have project of Mothernomics in Afghanistan. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, after my worship, the next order is
Your mother.
your parents, your mother.
Parents, yeah.
وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Ihsan is as well another types of infaq. So ihsan towards parents is normally about goodness, means if I do good towards you, you do good towards me. But ihsan is different terminology in Arabic word. Ihsan here towards parents means even if your parents, they don't do any goodness towards you, but still you have to do goodness towards them. That's the meaning of respecting to our parents. Of course, I have seen many Afghan young generations, because you know, when you are young, so you're flying in another garden. So you don't think about sometimes respecting parents, but you should be very cautious. The tone of your voice, when you talk to your parents, you should look after them. فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. And any words you're using, you have to use the highest level of the words towards your parents. And especially to your mom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, she keeps you 9 months in her womb. And after that, 2 years, at least, it's 2 years. Normally, with respect to our parents, especially fathers, maybe they won't feel that hardship of the mothers when they wake up at, for example, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and they have to feed the babies. But unfortunately, we forget that time. And we don't understand the value of our parents. So it's very important that, especially towards our parents, we should do infaq. That infaq here is ihsan. So we should do always actually respecting them, the highest level. I want to mention here, Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, he used to talk directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what happened to him? When his mom passed away, the Holy Almighty just sent message to him, talked to him, to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Musa, be careful. When your mom was alive, we had special attention to you. We used to look after you. You had a person who was praying for you. But now you don't have your mom. Be careful. So it happens for us as well. As far as our parents, they are alive, especially mom, we should look after her. We should call her. We should take her to what she likes. Because now I feel what the value has parents, especially mom, because I don't have them. I want to just see them, to talk to them. But of course, I talk to them. I don't hear what they respond. But normally I talk to them. That is the reason. So we need them. So we have to just respect them as much as we can.
And thank you for sharing your story. A big part of that is the respect that you should give to the mother. And a lot of the work that Lady Fatemah Trust does is restoring that respect, because after the wife, the mother, loses the husband, either through war or illness, not only are they mentally shattered, but also they have no source of income, because usually they relied on the male. And so Mothernomics allows them to become independent businesswomen, earn for themselves, but also get that respect back from their children. They look up and they see what a hero we have in front of us in our mother. And the verse you recited about not even saying oof, the whole concept is respect, and this project restores respect back to the mother. So thank you very much for both the insight and the recitation as well. When it comes to this idea of giving, we shouldn't only give in Ramadan, should we? It should be something we do throughout the year. What does the Quran say about giving all year round?
Quran certainly, of course, mentions that specific time. Time is very important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this book in the holy month of Ramadan. And every act we do during the holy month of Ramadan, so the reward is different, because that's a special month. We consider we are the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so the reward is different. But in fact, in my idea and the idea of the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it doesn't actually require a specific time. As you see that you can be a source of help, you have to help. You shouldn't wait for Ramadan. Oh, in Ramadan, because in that program I was watching, Said Masoomi mentioned that if you give £1, you will receive 700 pounds. Oh, that's very good business. So I do all my business in Ramadan. No, you do through the year, because the doors of Rahmah always open. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this opportunity that this is a chance, you do it. There's a chance that we have to do it through the year. One of the things I can just mention that as a charity is to have a center, like giving the possibility to teach the Holy Quran, to actually teach the children, which we have, but we should have this as a proper discipline.
Yes.
Yes? So Ramadan is a great opportunity to have families very close to Quran, but it shouldn't be just in the holy month of Ramadan. We should carry on this in the other months, Shawwal, in Arabic terminologies, through the year. But of course, reward in this month is more than any other month. But it doesn't mean that I should just stop and do it during the holy month of Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many verses says that you should consider of the time. If I wait from, for example, after Ramadan, I say, no, next Ramadan I will do it. You cannot guarantee that you're alive. Because that ajal, that time, we don't know. And that sa'a, we don't know. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ أَيُّ شَيْءٍ تَكْسِبُ غَدًا وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ بِأَيِّ أَرْضٍ تَمُوتُ. Yeah? So we don't know what I can eat, for example, tomorrow. What is just for me decided by Angel Mikael that say Jalaal Masoomi has to eat this. Maybe he goes to Zanzibar and eats, for example, samaki, or for example, kukupaka, or something like that. But I don't know in which land I will die. Yeah? So this is very important that we mention that we cannot guarantee our next day, so we have to give charity. As you mentioned, I will recite that part and as well these verses which is about time, importance of time, we don't know. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. السابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والسابقون السابقون والسابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون. والسابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله عنده علم الساعة. إن الله عنده علم الساعة وينزل الغيث ويعلم ما في الأرحام. وما تدري نفس ماذا تكسب غدا. وما تدري نفس بأي أرض تموت. إن الله عليم خبير. صدق الله العلي العظيم. والسابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون. So this giving charity is exactly like a race. So if you go forward, if you just actually carry on, so definitely you will be rewarded. So you shouldn't actually hesitate. That is the point. So we have to give as soon as we can. That's the main point. So, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those people, they give and they don't hesitate, they will get rewarded. And as well, another thing which I mentioned, that Ramadan is not just for the month of charity. So we have to give through the whole year, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, especially in Surah Al-Luqman in last verses, so He says, we cannot guarantee in which earth or in which land is our destiny to die. So وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَاذَا تَكْسِبُ غَدًا. So we don't know what we will actually get tomorrow. Tomorrow is next actually opportunity which Allah gave to us. Either it is next time or next minute, next hour. We don't know what we will get, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided for us to eat or to take or to get. And as well about the angel of death, we don't know when he comes to us. وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ بِأَيِّ أَرْضٍ تَمُوتُ, in which land we will die. So that is the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the beginning says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ عِنْدَهُ عِلْمُ السَّاعَةِ. He knows the knowledge of the hour or the knowledge of time. So we shouldn't hesitate. We have to give as fast as we can. So we shouldn't wait until the next year, next Ramadan. Through the year, we should have this continuation. So we cannot rely that I say, I recite Quran in the holy month of Ramadan. So the other months, the 11 months, I don't do anything. No, it's not acceptable.
Absolutely. So Lady Fatemah Trust empowers many orphans as well around the globe. And again, the Quran has a special place for orphans. Do you mind elaborating on that, please?
Of course, why not? You know, one of the main topics which came in Surah Al-Duha, you know, the revelation of the Holy Quran was stopped for a period of time. That was a test for the Holy Prophet and a test for the people around him. Because the people said, oh, Prophet, oh, of course, the Arabs were a bit insulting the Holy Prophet. They say, Muhammad, your Lord has forgotten you, and you don't receive any message from him. So that was a test for the Holy Prophet and the people around him. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Surah Al-Duha. So maybe I can recite that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Duha, especially, I will recite that part inshaAllah, when he says, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. And don't underestimate the orphan. That's the value of orphan. As well in Surah Al-Ma'un, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will recite that part as well. So the importance of orphan is as well we have, if you are looking after the orphan, and we have hadith of our great Prophet, your place is just like in this direction. So you are equal going with the Holy Prophet in the same directions. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Duha says about Sa'il, the beggar, and as well the orphan. So I'm going to recite that, inshallah we'll explain briefly about that. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Especially in Surah Al-Duha, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about the Holy Prophet, oh Prophet, you were orphan and we gave you shelter. We helped you. So help the poor, help the orphan. Especially this part is very important, that the considering of helping an orphan is actually a certificate of your a'mal to be accepted. Even in Surah Al-Ma'un, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings that part of the person who is not respecting the orphans and just actually just ignoring the orphan. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم. So this yatim, orphan, is very important to look after. We have many riwayat, many verses about yatim, yatama in the Holy Quran. So we should focus that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this opportunity to actually support an orphan when he or she doesn't have either father or mother. That is a responsibility for us. Of course, Allah will provide for him or her, but that is an opportunity for us to be a supporter of an orphan, either especially because the Holy Prophet himself, he was an orphan. So we have to look after the orphan, as you are doing, mashallah, in your trust, in your charity. You are looking after, and you let me know in which country you are focusing more of the orphan, or in which country you have more orphans.
Sure, so we work in multiple countries when it comes to empowering orphans, and the important thing there is not only giving them the education, but giving them that safe space to grow as well. So we work with orphans in Tanzania, we work with them in India and Pakistan as well, in Iraq. There's the Dar al-Zahra school in Najaf, which I'm not sure you've been to. We work with them quite closely as well. And when you're at a young age, that is the most pivotal role in your life as well. That's the age where you get molded, where the information you get really shapes the kind of person you'll end up being. And so it's a critical age, isn't it?
Definitely.
And at that age, you need to give them the right intervention, the right education, the right level of support. If they come from an orphan background where they've lost either the mother or the father, then maybe there is that void at home that needs filling. And so it's much more than just giving money and just giving food. You need to give them that support shelter as well, and that's something that we focus on too. But thank you once again for the beautiful recitation.
You're welcome.
And Surah Duha actually is my favorite surah in the Quran. I know every chapter has its own beauty, but for me it was one of the first surah I memorized when I was young, and for that reason it's always stuck with me. I think they say Surah Duha, Surah Shams, and is it Surah Inshirah is the together?
Yeah, Surah Al-Duha and Surah Al-Inshirah or Surah Al-Sharh together.
Yes.
Normally we have, it's better to recite together.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two surahs, Surah Al-Duha and Surah Al-Sharh. And as well as Surah Al-Fil and Surah Quraysh.
Interesting.
These two surahs as well.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the revelation as happened to the Holy Prophet, and as well the meaning. Yeah. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. Because of the meaning as well connected of Surah Al-Sharh is connected to Surah Al-Duha, the meaning as well.
Perfect. And as I mentioned, the work we do about the orphans, if you'd like to find out more, please do visit the website www.ladyfatemahtrust.org. Visit our Instagram page, give us a follow, our Facebook page, give us a like. We're also on Twitter as well. The more you read about the work, inshallah, the more you'll find out how we're a unique charity in a crowded space. And inshallah, with your support, your generosity, your prayers, we can go even further as well. Moving on to our final few questions for today. Often people associate charity with money, because you give with your money and your wealth. But we have to be frank, at the moment in the UK we have cost of living crisis. There are many families who are struggling to heat their homes, to eat as well. And maybe for some, this Ramadan, giving wealth may not be something that they're able to do. How else can we give, and what does the Quran say about that?
Yeah, there are verses in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions even, He says, قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوفٌ. قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوف, just a good word. Because when sometimes we don't have money, so we actually ignore them and we treat in bad way. No. Of course, we don't know who is a real poor in some countries like here, but we cannot just mention here in the countries like Afghanistan, Iraq, and Yemen, those countries, or Tanzania, there are many poor people. So if we don't give them money, at least we use nice words toward them. قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوفٌ. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the it's khayrun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it's better than the sadaqah, the charity when you give, but you bother them. Yeah, inshallah I will recite those verses as well, but we have to bear in mind that even if we don't give charity, but we have to respect the person. We have to just, with our nice words we can give charity, with our smile we can give charity, at least we give them hope. If we cannot, for example, as you mentioned, if we cannot give charity, at least we can spread the message of Lady Fatemah Trust in social media.
Yes.
So I cannot give money, I don't have, for example, a £50, but at least I can share this message of Lady Fatemah Trust in my social media, in my Instagram, in my Facebook. Or at least I can give the address of a poor family to Lady Fatemah Trust. Oh, Lady Fatemah Trust, you help this family in, for example, UK or in outside UK. Let me recite that verse about using gentle words, sure, even if you cannot give money, in Surah Al-Baqarah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم والله غني حليم صدق الله العلي العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that قول معروف يعني nice wordings, ومغفرة, if you forgive, is better than the charity you give, but you give it with actually disrespecting the poor person, disrespecting the orphan, underestimating them. I gave to you.
Arrogant.
Yeah, arrogant. And even we have our role model, Amir al-Mu'mineen. He used to give charity hidden, so no one knew that the person was giving charity was Amir al-Mu'mineen. Yes. Until the night of actually the Darba, the 19th of Ramadan. So we were remembering Amir al-Mu'mineen as well on these days and nights, because he was the role of that way of giving charity. So it's hidden. Yeah. So it was actually not obvious that I am giving to you. Because we should follow the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Kareem al-Safh. So he is giving, but he's not telling you that I gave to you. So the wordings and the way we give is very important. So we should have this in our intention. Al-a'mal hum bin niyat. So we should have actually purify, clarify our intention.
Sure. Very, very profound words over there. And bringing back a theme that we talked about earlier, the role of the mother. And linking it in with another theme we talked about earlier, Zanzibar, the beautiful island of Zanzibar, which you had the fortune of visiting recently as well. You talked about the wonderful food and the smells and the culture and the vibe you got there, wasn't there?
Beautiful.
But out of interest, do you know how many mothers die on that island every year during childbirth?
Maybe 50 or 60.
Oh, so it's 365. It's one every single day. One mother dies just in the act of giving childbirth. And
oh my God.
It's terrible because the mother gives childbirth. She passes away, and you've got the healthy baby who grows up without the mother. And do you know some of the main causes of this death during childbirth?
I think it might be because of the lack of vitamins, something like that.
Exactly, it's as simple as that. Lack of vitamins, lack of nutrition. Sometimes the ambulances are not enough, so they can't get the mother who is struggling at home to the hospital in time. Very simple causes.
Maybe iron in the blood.
Iron in the blood as well. And these are preventable, very easily treatable. Here in the UK we get iron tablets, nutritional vitamins. We just eat it, we take it for granted. But over there, it's very quick fixes, very simple fixes. But also, Lady Fatemah Trust has built a hospital, a maternity hospital, in Makunduchi province in Zanzibar. And this is one of the ways that we're helping mothers in Zanzibar to stay healthy during the childbirth, so that when they give birth, they do not feel fatigued and ultimately they don't die. And the Lady Fatemah Trust has one aim, that in the next few years, we want to make sure that no mother dies in childbirth on the island of Zanzibar.
Inshallah.
So
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
We will achieve that, inshallah. So the final question I have for you is, we've talked a lot about the projects of the Lady Fatemah Trust. What are the top three that stand out?
So I think the one which really stood up for me is the first one is Mothernomics. The Mothernomics in Afghanistan, especially. And the second one, which I really liked and I really appreciate Lady Fatemah Trust, is the maternity hospital in Zanzibar. And the third one is the water project in Iraq.
Yes.
These are the three actually outstanding, and really it is very big projects. Definitely you will be rewarded for this.
Inshallah. And if you want to find out more about Mothernomics in Afghanistan, Iraq and Yemen, if you want to find out more about the water project in Karbala and Najaf, and if you want to find out more about the third project that Jalaal mentioned, the maternity hospital in Zanzibar, please do visit our website, www.ladyfatemahtrust.org. Our Instagram page, social media on Facebook and Twitter has constant updates as well, and your support that way is greatly appreciated. I said last question, I have one more actually. You're a man of many talents, many languages spoken. So we're gonna test that out if that's okay. Are you able to say, please visit Lady Fatemah Trust in as many languages as possible? So you speak Spanish?
Spanish.
English?
English.
Farsi?
Farsi.
Dari?
Dari.
Arabic?
Arabic.
Anything else?
I know a little bit of Swahili.
Swahili, okay.
Habariakun, Zurisana, Safi Salama.
So let's test that out. So visit Lady Fatemah Trust in, let's start with English.
Can I ask our dear viewers to please visit Lady Fatemah Trust website, and as much as you can, donate.
Wonderful. And let's do that in Spanish, please.
Distinguidos señores, señoras, damas y caballeros, puedo hacer este favor de vosotros, de ustedes, de mis amigos, para visitar la página web de Lady Fatemah Trust, la Dama Fatemah Trust, en la página web internacional.
Beautiful. Arabic now.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الرجاء المشاهدة الموقع الإلكتروني لموقع السيدة فاطمة تراست من فضلكم.
Brilliant. And something a bit close to home, Dari?
داری. بیننده های عزیز، از همه شما خواهش میکنم که صفحه الکترونیکی فاطمه تراست را مشاهده بکنین و تا میتونین کمک بکنین انشاءالله.
Inshallah. And lastly, Farsi?
عزیزان محترم، خواهران و برادران عزیز، از همه شما خواهش میکنم که صفحه وبسایت مربوط به لیدی تراست، لیدی فاطمه تراست رو حتما مشاهده بکنید و تا میتونید کمک بکنید.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, dear viewers, for tuning in today. Inshallah, you've learned a lot about the Quran, the holy book in our religion, but also the work of the Lady Fatemah Trust as well, and how the work intertwines with the messages within the Quran. We spoke today about the importance of mothers, orphans, giving those needy food parcels as well, and also water. And these reflect Lady Fatemah Trust's individual projects. For example, the water project in Karbala and Najaf, giving 2 million cups of water a day to the Zawar in these holy sites. The maternity project in Zanzibar, where we are trying to eliminate maternal deaths completely in the next few years. And finally, the Mothernomics project in Iraq, in Yemen, and in Afghanistan as well, where we empower widowed young mothers and train them up with the skills so that they can open their own businesses, sell garments, become independent businesswomen who are respected within their communities by their children and the wider society, restoring dignity, hope, and a sense of accomplishment within their lives. Thank you so much, dear viewers. Thank you so much, my dear Sayyid Jalaal Masoomi as well.
You're welcome. It was a great opportunity to be at your service and the service of our dear viewers. But of course, I haven't forgotten that to ask you to recite for me, inshallah, maybe your favorite surah or your favorite maqam, inshallah.
Sure.
By the way, your favorite maqam was?
Bayati, but well, I'll need to work on the maqamat. I think I'll recite...
any surah you want or any maqam you want. It's up to you.
Okay, in terms of the tune, you know, I'll need some work and inshallah I can learn from you, but...
any surah you want. وختامه مسك, it is your part. You finish it, inshallah.
Okay. I'll start with Surah Duha.
Okay.
And, you know, recite it, just normally if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
يا رحمن يا رحيم
والضحى
اي والله
والليل إذا سجى
نعم
ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى
الله
ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى
الله
ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى
نعم
ووجدك ضالا فهدى
اي والله
ووجدك عائلا فأغنى
الله الله الله
فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنحر
الله الله
وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ما شاء الله جميل.
Yeah, I would love to learn the melodies as well because I think the recitation is there, but the melodies and the working on the vocal intonation is the next step.
You've done a great job, but all of us, we have room for improvement.
For sure.
And your knowledge is, mashallah, very good. And definitely you will do it, inshallah.